push you and I push you and you've not even begun to walk through the valley yet. You want me?
What's up, Warriors, and welcome back to WWE Discuss, your ultimate home for the wildest, most dramatic, and downright shocking stories straight from the heart of the WWE Universe. I'm your host, and today we're diving deep into a situation that's shaking the foundation of the wrestling world to its very core. We're talking about mystery, betrayal, frustration, and a whole lot of chaos, with two of the most dangerous men to ever step foot inside the squared circle, Jon Moxley and Alistair Black. Buckle up, because what I'm about to tell you will leave you stunned. The return of two legends. For months, WWE fans had been buzzing with anticipation, wondering when two of the most enigmatic, dark, and brooding forces would make their long-awaited return. The buzz was so loud you could feel it in the air. Two warriors who left WWE on their own terms, who went on to become legends elsewhere. And of course, we're talking about Jon Moxley, the man who once wreaked havoc in the Shield, the unpredictable lunatic, and one of the most exciting stars to ever step into a WWE ring, and Alistair Black, the Dutch Destroyer, the man who found solace in the shadows and became a champion of darkness in his time away from WWE. For months, rumors swirled. The cryptic vignettes, the shadowy figures, and the heavy hinting from the company itself led us to believe that Moxley would be the first to make his return. Fans waited week after week for that earth-shattering moment when the unmistakable sound of Moxley's music would hit, and the roof of the arena would blow off in a roar of excitement. The return of the wild card, the return of chaos. Everyone was expecting it to be Moxley, the man who had made his name in AEW and New Japan, returning to WWE to reclaim his throne. But WWE had a different plan altogether, a shocking swerve, Alistair Black's unexpected return. Just when it seemed like the fans couldn't get any more hyped, WWE dropped a bombshell on the April 25, 2025 episode of Friday Night Smackdown. The returning superstar wasn't Jon Moxley. It wasn't the man who had tormented the wrestling world with his unpredictable, violent persona. No, the man who came out of the shadows wasn't Moxley at all. It was Alistair Black, the Dutch Destroyer himself, the dark anti-hero, the enigma of violence. Fans had been speculating about who would return, but nobody saw this coming. As the lights dimmed and smoke began to billow through the arena, the energy shifted instantly. The audience fell into an eerie silence as the haunting, familiar music of Alistair Black began to reverberate through the speakers. And then, emerging from the smoke like a demon summoned from the underworld, Alistair Black made his appearance. He moved with a deliberate, terrifying calmness, as though the very air around him bowed to his presence. The darkness seemed to follow him like a cloud. His every step was measured, purposeful, and filled with an ominous weight that made the fans lose their minds. The crowd erupted into deafening cheers. The welcome back chants filled the arena as Black, dressed in his signature black attire, made his way to the ring. Every movement was calculated. Every action carried an underlying menace. He slid into the ring with the precision of a predator about to strike, spinning with fluid grace and planting the Miz, the self-proclaimed greatest intercontinental champion of all time, with a thunderous black mass kick. The sound of Miz's body hitting the mat was sickening, and the Aleister was left sprawled, unconscious, his smug smile completely erased. The Haunting Eye, a deep dive into Alistair Black's history. Here at Suplex Saga, we don't just skim the surface, we dive deep. And when it comes to Alistair Black, his return wasn't just about the surprise and the spectacle. It was about the meaning behind his character, the darkness that defined him, and the haunting eye that would soon become the symbol of his pain and vengeance. To truly understand the significance of that eye, we need to rewind the clock a few years. Let's travel back to Monday Night Raw on July 27, 2020, at the peak of Alistair Black's WWE run. Black had been embroiled in a personal feud with none other than Seth Rollins, the Monday Night Messiah, and his disciple Buddy Murphy. Rollins, consumed by his delusions of grandeur and his vision of a new WWE, had targeted Alistair Black, seeing him as an obstacle in his quest to reshape the company. In one of the most brutal attacks of that era, Murphy, under Rollins' orders, dragged Black to the steel steps outside the ring and slammed his face into the edge with terrifying force. The visuals were disturbing. Black writhed on the ground, clutching his face as the commentators screamed about the horror of what had just happened. It was pure violence, a scene straight out of a nightmare. In the weeks that followed, Black wore an eye patch, later switching to a milky, clouded contact lens to sell the injury. Dio. It wasn't just an injury, it was a storytelling device that added layers to Black's already brooding, dark character. It became a symbol of the war he had fought, the scars that remained, and the demons he carried with him. Fast forward to 2025, and that same eye, the one that had been clouded in 2020, was back in full force. Whether real or a brilliantly preserved piece of kayfabe, the eye was a powerful visual that spoke volumes about the pain Alistair Black had endured. It wasn't just an injury, it was a reminder of everything he had sacrificed, every battle he had fought. It was a symbol of the darkness that had consumed him and would continue to do so. Moxley's frustration, the return. He never got. While Alistair Black's return was a moment of celebration for the WWE Universe, it was far from a cause for celebration backstage. Jon Moxley, the man who had been in serious talks with WWE for months, was not a happy camper. Moxley had been planning his return for some time, carefully crafting his comeback, envisioning himself as the center of attention, the top story in the wrestling world. After all, Moxley had earned it. He had walked away from WWE, redefined himself in AEW, and become one of the biggest stars in the industry. He had become a cornerstone of AEW and New Japan, winning championships and becoming a true megastar. When Moxley decided to return to WWE, he believed that the company owed him something. He thought that his comeback would be treated like a monumental event. He imagined the pyrotechnics, the chants, the overwhelming hype that would follow his entrance. Instead, WWE decided to swerve the fans and put Alistair Black in the spotlight first. Behind the scenes, Moxley's frustration was palpable. Sources say he was absolutely livid, feeling disrespected. It wasn't that he disliked Alistair Black, far from it. Moxley respected anyone who had walked through the fire and come out the other side, but Moxley felt that WWE had promised him the red carpet, the grand return, the center stage. Instead, they handed the spotlight to someone else. For Moxley, it wasn't just a matter of personal pride, it was about the legacy he had built and the respect he thought he had earned. The inevitable collision, Moxley versus Black. The tension backstage was thick. Moxley wasn't one to throw tantrums, but sources close to the situation say the anger simmered beneath the surface, like a volcano waiting to erupt. He had worked too hard, sacrificed too much, to be relegated to the shadows while Alistair Black stole the thunder. And now the stage was set for a collision of epic proportions. Imagine it. Jon Moxley, the returning warrior, the man who made chaos his home, standing face-to-face with Alistair Black, the dark sorcerer of WWE, a man scarred by his battles. Two forces of destruction, two men who have something to prove, one fight for pride, one fight for legacy. The haunting eye of Alistair Black could very well be the symbol that ignites this war between two of wrestling's most dangerous outlaws. Whether Moxley's frustration explodes into a full-blown rivalry, or they find themselves united against a common enemy, one thing is certain. When these two forces finally meet, the WWE Universe will never be the same again. This is just the beginning of a new saga in WWE, one that tells the story of Alistair Black's pain and Moxley's frustration. When these two collide, it will shake the very foundation of the wrestling world. Smash that like button if you're as hooked as we are. Subscribe now because when Moxley and Black collide, you won't want to miss it. Comment below. What do you think will happen when these two warriors meet? Turn on notifications. The chaos is coming.